You're listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast. This is a special episode featuring a recovering addict. Hi, my name is Sophie X. I'm the host and producer of the Voices of Recovery podcast. I'm joined here today by Mo. Hi, Mo.
Hello, Sophie.
Welcome to the Voices of Recovery. Thank you for doing the readings for the Just for Today and for the SPAD for the beginning of May.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure.
It's great to have you on here for our special series of spirituality and recovery. Actually, this was Mo's idea. I was like, if you ever talk about the higher power, I would really like to be on it. And I'm so thankful that I was able to get this going. And you are the first person talking about your relationship with the higher power in recovery. And the way that I set this up was having people from 3 different types of religions come on. So Mo was raised...
I was raised in an Islamic household.
A Muslim background.
Yes, Muslim background.
And Mo is short for?
Mo is short for Muhammad.
So tell me a little bit about, first of all, how you got to recovery, what brought you into the rooms, what's keeping you clean, and how your higher power is operating in the background of all of that.
Getting to the rooms, it's been a long journey. I've been in and out of the rooms for over 20 years. I was introduced to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous in 2001. At the time, I was very young. I was about 21 years old. My real war story didn't really start until after I was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, things were bad, but at the time, I didn't realize how good they actually were. I was raised in a Muslim household, but my family came here in 1981. I was a year old, and my parents were young. We really didn't practice the religion in the household, and it was a little confusing because my parents wanted to make us comfortable, so we actually had a Christmas tree and we exchanged presents, but it wasn't religious. It was more just my parents didn't want us to feel left out.
Yeah, the customs.
American customs. They were trying to fit in. And then as I got older, somewhere around like my teens, around 15, 16, my father had a health issue and it was very serious, and right around that time is when my family started to become more religious. Now, we did practice our religion, like we went to the mosque on holidays and we'd fast for Ramadan, but I never knew why. I was never taught the actual religion. When I was 18 years old, I got incarcerated. And my name being Muhammad and being incarcerated, I went to the Muslim services and everybody was like leaning on me. It was like, oh my God, your name's Muhammad. Can you read Arabic? And you can speak it because I'm fluent in Arabic. So everybody was like very impressed and kind of leaned on towards me. And I was embarrassed. I knew nothing about my religion. So I actually took it upon myself to learn about my religion.
While you were incarcerated?
While I was incarcerated.
No way.
First time I ever read the Quran. Wow. At that point, I learned a little bit about my religion, and I learned just, basic things that I didn't really know. And then 9/11 happened. On that morning, I was just a regular, I'm a New Yorker. I've been in New York all my life. Here I am, an American New Yorker with a Muslim background. And on the morning of 9/11, I was just another kid, 21 years old. I used to like to write graffiti and go to clubs and smoke pot and do drugs and sell drugs. And I was in the whole mix. And then by that late morning, I was public enemy number 1. Mind you, I was standing on the corner of 7th Avenue and Canal Street when the towers fell. I was less than a mile away. It happened right in front of my eyes. I was going to school in the city at the time, so people I would be on the train with, friends' parents, just like people, like we all have some connection to 9/11 if you're from New York, and it hurt a lot to be treated the way I was afterwards. Needless to say, a short time after that is when my addiction became very bad. I don't really know for sure if they had anything to do with each other, but it wasn't long after that I was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous. At that point, it was very uncomfortable to be in a church basement with crosses everywhere and, all these Christian, Catholic, whatever it was, and being Muslim with the name Muhammad. With people talking about higher power, I felt like I couldn't expose my higher power or what I knew of higher power. It was just very uncomfortable, and needless to say, I didn't really stick around too much. I came, I hung out, but I never really got super involved. I kind of played the outskirts and used it as just like a place to hang out. I lied about my clean time. I was in and out. I never took it seriously. My problems weren't as bad as everybody else's. And at the time, they weren't. I'd go to meetings and people would share these really traumatic things that happened to them. like child abuse, abuse of homes and molestations. And that was my story. I had a great childhood. I came from a loving family. It was just a lot of partying, a little too much partying. So when I got here, or when I got there anyway, I felt like I wasn't as bad as everybody else. And it took a long time before I really grasped on to the concepts of recovery.
So you compared yourself out of the rooms, as they
Yes.
say, right?
Yes.
Oh, not that bad. So when did it start getting bad?
So as the years went on, so that was like 2001. It was in and out. I'd get locked up for, something that had to do with using, whether it was stealing or possessions or whatever the case may be. And then when I'm locked up, I always miss Narcotics Anonymous, when I'm in a jail cell. And then I'd come home and I would do the same thing. I wouldn't take things seriously. And it was just a matter of time before I used again. I wasn't doing any work on myself. It progressed and progressed until about 2008 is when it got really bad. I was facing a lot of time in prison. They were trying to give me like 3 to 7 years in prison. And so this is a great God story. This is the first time I was ever incarcerated and prayed, but it wasn't that foxhole prayer. It wasn't like, please get me out of this, God. Please, I'll do it right this time. My prayers changed to, God, please help me. God, guide me. Like, I didn't want to leave the jail. I wanted to get better. So my prayers changed from, God, get me out of this to God, help me. And there was this gentleman in the dorm. He was in prison upstate doing a 10-year bid for a bank robbery. He was a heroin addict. He was kind of seasoned in prison, so he really didn't talk to anybody, kept to himself. He had this angry face on him all the time, but he was from my neighborhood, so I was one of the very few people that he would talk to. And one day me and him were talking, and I explained to him, I said, I need to change something. My drug addiction has gotten very serious, and I don't want to do this anymore. And he goes, all right, write this guy a letter. He might be able to help you. All I got is a name and an address. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he does, but I poured my heart out in this letter.
While you're still incarcerated.
While I'm still incarcerated. Lo and behold, maybe a month or two later, I get a visit from this gentleman. He comes to the jail. He sits across from me on the table, and he doesn't say anything for about a minute. And it was very awkward and uncomfortable, and I'm just sitting there. I didn't even know who the guy was at the time.
Oh, you didn't know he was the man you were writing
I didn't
to?
know. I just knew it was like I thought it could have been a lawyer. It could have been, it could have been anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So finally, the first thing he says to me is, I'm not supposed to be here. You wrote me a letter. And I was like, oh, all right, you're whoever your name is. And he goes, yes. And then he continues to tell me that he gets a stack of letters every day from people in jail trying to get out. He works with a program that gets people out of jail and into treatment, and that's not his job. His job isn't to open letters. His job isn't to read these letters. His job is to take the cases that the courts give him and work on those cases. He told me he hasn't read a letter in over a year, and he was sitting on his desk daydreaming, and he's looking up at the ceiling, and he looked down, and he said, there was your letter, and something told him to open it. So he opened my letter and read it, and then he said, not only that, but the simple fact that I'm here right now is strange because he's not supposed to be there. He took his own time to come meet me. It's not how things work. There's something you said in that letter that made me want to meet you. We talked for about like 20, 30 minutes. He said, listen, I don't know how this is going to go. I've never done this before, but I'm going to try and help you. Lo and behold, I got into a treatment facility and I didn't have to go to prison for 3.5 to 7 years. And that's where I really started getting serious in recovery. I got back to the dorm and I told that gentleman that gave me the name, I'm like, yo, so-and-so came to visit me. And he just looked at me and he smiled and he said, I knew there was a reason for me to be here because he was down in the jail for some old ticket. Like I said, he was in prison doing a long prison stint. I ended up getting into a program. I did 9 months. It was in Manhattan. And I got out and I stayed clean for a while and I got involved and I started taking things seriously again. I had an experience with a higher power that I never had before. A prayer was answered. I feel like God works through people. These people were put in my life. One led to the next, led to the next. It changed my whole outlook on what God was and what prayer was and how to pray. I never asked God for anything in particular. I just asked for help. Very vague, very honest, like it was from the deep of my soul that like I really wanted help.
That moment of surrender, I feel like a lot of people can identify with that. I certainly can. Being at my wit's end and just saying help. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that change from a foxhole prayer, get me out of this, to I want to change. Help me change. I certainly can relate. What ended up happening when you ended up going to that treatment facility?
This treatment facility was in Manhattan, and lo and behold, nobody's ever heard of this before. It was run by Muslims.
What?
What? Very, very,
very rare.
Very rare. I mean, extremely rare. But this gentleman who came to visit me says, I have the perfect place for you. It's not religious based.
Okay.
They didn't force any kind of like services on you or any type of religion, but the people who ran the program were a Muslim community. They had their own mosque and they catered to Muslims, which was very awkward because if you go into any kind of treatment facility, that's usually not the case.
Taboo. Yeah. Yeah, and it's also typically Christian run.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
They're more Catholic services, Christian services,
Right, right.
which is great. I mean, listen, the fact that these religious places open their doors and really respect recovery is an amazing thing. I mean, look at most meetings are held in church basements. Why? Because these people know that God has a big part to do with it and they're doing God's work,
Right.
which is very respectable. But to find a Muslim community in that sense was extremely rare. That place helped me get back on my life. I ended up working, saving up a bunch of money. I got out of there after 9 months with a bunch of money in my pocket. I got an apartment. I got back on my feet. And like I said, I dove into recovery headfirst and really took it seriously this time.
What do you think your higher power had to do with all of this, with getting you clean again?
I feel like this is all a journey and that our higher power is always there with us, helping guide us. I mean, a lot of times, even the bad things that happen in our life are happening for us, not to us.
Truly.
And you don't see it until you're through it. So a lot of times there are things that happen that, oh my God, why is this happening to me? But then if you're really in recovery and you really have a sense of higher power, you realize that that happened for you, not to you. A few years went by and I was in this relationship. I thought it would be really cute to buy my girlfriend a dog.
Dun,
So,
dun,
dun, dun,
dun.
dun, guess what I got, baby? I got us a puppy. So I got this puppy. I loved him to death. His name was Cassius. He was a boxer. He was adorable. And someone told me that you can't have the dog in the house. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, religiously, in Islam, you can't have dogs in your house. You have to keep them outside. And I said, you are effing crazy. That dog is like my child. When you come over my house, you are the guest. He is not. Remember that? That's his couch that you're sitting on. And I love dogs. I love animals. I couldn't grasp it. So I actually read the Quran again, front to back, because I wanted to know why. Why does God, quotation marks, say that I can't have a dog in my house? And I read the Quran front to back and it had nothing about dogs. So I did more research. In Islam, there's different schools of thought. I think there's like 4 different schools of thought. And 2 of them believe that if you have a dog in the house, the angels won't enter the home. I'm a very logical person. So I can have like the craziest animal in the world. I can have a hyena or a giraffe in my living room and the angels are cool with it. But like my girlfriend comes home with a teacup Yorkie in her hand. The angels are like, nah, we're out of here. Forget this. I couldn't. It just, and that right there, that simple little thing changed my whole perspective on the religious side of higher power. Because my God loves dogs. My God loves every animal. I just couldn't grasp that an angel isn't going to come into my home because of a dog. From that moment forward, I really started to change my perspective. And listen, in recovery, we're taught to create our own higher power. It's whatever I believe. It's not what some religion tells me to.
Loving, caring, greater than yourself.
Loving, caring, greater than myself. What loving, caring God doesn't want your dog in the house? Yeah. Listen, I've been incarcerated a lot, and I've done a lot of reading. Read up on a lot of different religions. I wanted to read the Bible. I wanted to know more about the Bible. And little did I know that the Quran and the Bible are very similar. The Bible is actually part of the Quran.
Correct.
Jesus, Mary, the Immaculate Conception. I mean, all of it's in there. It blew my mind when I first learned this because I thought they were so separate. Learning that they're very similar changed a lot for me. For me, higher power is so much bigger than religion. I mean, religion's a huge part of it for some people. And I'm not knocking any religion because I do believe in religion, but some of it I can't grasp. And that's where my higher power gets a lot bigger than what is taught through religion. My higher power speaks to me through my gut. When my gut's turning, my stomach, and something just doesn't feel right, like that's my higher power warning, like, yo, something's up, be careful, watch out, open your eyes, listen. It's an energy, it's a vibration. There's so many ways to give a definition of a higher power. My higher power is so huge that word can't even explain how big it is. Throughout it all, I've had many relapses. So after I got out of that treatment facility I spoke about, I stayed clean for 2.5 years and I relapsed. I was out there for a year or 2 and then I came back and then I stayed clean for 4.5 years and then I relapsed and then I stayed clean for another 2.5 years and then I relapsed and now I'm back again. I have about 22 months right now. So almost 2 years back.
2 months away from a 2-year mark.
Yeah.
What do you see as the culprit in relapsing?
For me, I truly believe it's not doing the work.
Mm.
That step work is everything. Growing up, I did very well in high school. I actually graduated high school 6 months early, and I did minimal work. It really was very simple for me. I grasped concepts easily. I did no homework. I just did whatever I had to do to get by and got good grades. I thought I can come to Narcotics Anonymous and breeze through without doing any work. You know, it was homework to me. I wasn't scared of a fourth step. I don't want to open up a book and write stuff if I don't have to. I got this far in life without doing any homework. Why start now? The inner work is what's really important, because through those years in recovery and I got better as a person, and I got jobs, and I became a better person on the outside. Social acceptability does not equal recovery. Having the nice car, having the apartment, having the job, having the girlfriend, having all that exterior stuff is not going to keep you clean, because that stuff goes just as quick as it came. For me, this time, a lot of people have said, yo, Mo, like, because I've known people in recovery a very long time. There are people that I met back in 2001 that are still my friends today, and they've all told me, every single last one of them, and people even that I haven't known that long, are like, there's something different this time. And the difference is I'm doing some work on myself. That's spiritual work, man. This is a spiritual game we're playing here. Recovery is about building your spirit on the inside. All that outside stuff doesn't matter. And my life today, I live very simple. I'll take the bus. The money stuff, listen, money's important. You need money to survive and to live and to get things done. But it's not my rate of success. I don't, my success in life on monetary things. It's more of how I treat people, how people treat me, how I live my life. Being happy, very simple. I am so happy today, and I don't have all that fancy, shiny stuff that used to make me happy in the past.
Talk about your recovery this time around. You recently helped reopen a meeting in our local area in Nassau area. Talk about your service and how that's kept you clean.
That meeting was actually my home group back in like 2018, 19, 20, right before the pandemic.
And it closed as a result of the pandemic.
Closed as a result of the pandemic, and it was a late night meeting on a Saturday night. It actually used to meet years ago at midnight.
At midnight.
It was called the midnight meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, people can't stay up that late for some reason. They complain, so we moved it back to 10 o'clock. This time around, you know, I didn't have a home group that I really loved, and I missed that group. Let's start this back up. I talked to our friend. He still had all the materials. He had
Yes,
all the
he
paperwork.
did.
He had the banners. He had
I
in his
remember being at that
garage.
meeting.
Yeah,
I
you were
remember,
there. You were
yeah.
there our first night when we were trying to get it back together, man. We were all brainstorming and seeing what we can do, and we got it up and running. Service is a huge part of recovery. There are some non-negotiables in my life. Number one, higher power. The spiritual aspect of this recovery thing is huge. And having a home group, having a commitment, having a sponsor, doing step work. These are all non-negotiables for me. I cannot thrive in recovery without those things. I will fall short. Having those things, I can't not succeed.
Tell me how step work has changed your path and your commitment to staying clean this time.
Number one, doing it, and doing it wholeheartedly, and actually applying it to my life. When something's happening and it doesn't feel good, or whatever it is, or there's some kind of chaos in my life, I just sit back and number one, I ask God to help me through it and understand that it is all God's will for me. And I try and look at the lessons involved. Like, what is this trying to teach me here? If something keeps happening in your life, there's usually a lesson in it that you need to learn, and that's why it keeps on happening. I keep things very simple, and I don't get hung up on things happening to me. Everything's happened. Life shows up. Life isn't supposed to be easy. It can be simple, though.
Certainly. And part of having a relationship with a higher power is speaking to your higher power and asking for guidance and asking for help. But I think the most important part of having a relationship with a higher power is listening and taking that guidance that you talked about, those feelings of watch out for this, something is wrong. Do you practice any type of meditation, any sort of daily ritual to try to communicate with your higher power and get in touch?
Absolutely. Meditation has become a huge part of my life, and it has actually changed my life since I've been meditating. I was incarcerated from 2021 to 2024. I was in prison for a few years after my last relapse. Right before I was to be released, a few months before, I saw a sign up in the vestibule of the building I was incarcerated in, and it said meditation class. I said, why not? I signed up for this meditation class. It was life changing. This woman came in from the outside, and she taught a 12-week course in depth about meditation, and we'd meditate and do yoga every week. We had these lessons. I was given this mantra that was personal to myself. I really learned what's actually happening while you meditate, and that changed everything for me, because I had tried to meditate before, but when you actually know what's happening in your brain and how it's actually healing you and getting in tune with that other side through meditation, it changed a lot for me. I continued my practice, and in early recovery, I was in a recovery house for my first 10 months in recovery, and I didn't have much to do. I took things very slow. This time around, I wanted to do things differently. I wasn't chasing the job. I wasn't chasing the money. I wasn't chasing the car. I sat in this recovery house and just did the work on myself. And it started with meditation. I would wake up in the morning every day, and I had all these pamphlets and stuff that I was given to at this course in prison, and I bring them home with me, and I would read over them, and I would do this every single day. Slowly but surely, my life started to change, but my outlook on everything started to change as well. My whole demeanor, I was just a calmer person. Praying is talking to God, and meditation is listening to God.
Mm-hmm.
The words sound good, but listening to God is, for me, having a pause. My higher power is sitting there right in between the action and the thought. If I have a thought, I need to pause, and I need to let room in for God to come in and show me or tell me. And showing and telling me isn't a verbal thing, it's something that I feel. Life's a lot easier when you allow your higher power in, and meditation helps you to achieve that patience, the stillness, just feeling the energy and just being in tune with the energy. Meditating for me helps me get a better gauge of being in tune with what energies are surrounding me. Its healing properties help me become more in tune as well. It's like having an antenna and building that antenna bigger so I can receive these signals better, in a sense.
Yeah, to receive the message,
Yeah.
to be more receptive. Absolutely. And beyond the metaphysical, you're also highly involved and in tune with your body physically.
Yes.
Ever since I've met you, you have transformed your body completely. You're now a certified personal trainer. Talk to me about how your life has changed post recovery, the opportunities that you've had coming out of being incarcerated and coming out of sober houses and living on your own outside of the confines of an institution.
It all started with a bike I bought off of Facebook Marketplace for $75.
Okay.
I was in the sober house, meditating every day. I wanted to get physical again. It's not talked about enough in the rooms, but I feel like recovery is mind, body, and soul. A lot of people don't take health into consideration. So I bought this bike, and I started riding my bike everywhere. I'd go down to the beach, I'd ride on the boardwalk, I'd ride to meetings, I'd ride to the store, and that began my physical journey. At the time, I wanted to change courses in life, so I decided to go back to school. I got certified as a personal trainer and a nutritionist. I started using myself as a guinea pig. I started training myself first. I started getting disciplined, going to the gym. I started eating better with the meditation, with the prayer, with the healthy eating, with the lifestyle changes, with the gym. All these things are making my body stronger on the cellular level. I learned through personal training that when you're working out and you're exercising, your body's actually creating new capillaries and new veins, and the blood is getting pumped to parts of your body that wasn't there before, and you're building muscle and you're rejuvenating these cells in your body. You are an organism. So on a cellular level, I'm building this antenna even stronger to receive all those things, and I feel great. I feel like working out can be a form of meditation too. Like
Absolutely.
when I'm at the gym, like I'm in the zone. It's not just about going to meetings and doing step work. It's about making myself inside and out better. I've recently lost 25 pounds. I'm eating super healthy. My diet is on point. I quit smoking cigarettes. I stopped drinking.
Big deal. Big deal. You were smoking a lot of cigarettes,
Yes,
bro.
I stopped drinking coffee. I
That's
mean, this,
crazy, bro. That's
I used to
crazy.
have like IV coffee, like literally, like I love coffee. I love the flavor of it. I
Yeah,
loved
of
it,
course.
but it started affecting me. It was affecting my sleep, and I
Mm,
realized this because I was starting to get healthy, and I was starting to be more in tune with my body.
mm.
The prayer and the meditation, all that helps as well. It's all this tangled web of life. I want to be healthy inside and out, from the diet to the exercise to the prayer to the meditation to the recovery to the step work to the service to everything that's involved in my life has discipline and direction.
Being in present day, being of Muslim descent present day, and also being Palestinian present day has its own challenges. How do you deal with the outside world? How does your higher power help you deal with a conflict that's happening right now, actively in America? We're in the middle of this conflict. Your people are going through a very hard time. What is it like for you?
Honestly, it's personal to me. I'm of Palestinian blood. My family was pushed out of Palestine in 1948. My dad had to walk into Lebanon and lived in a refugee camp as a child. The conflict is very personal to me, but at the same time, I try not to let it affect me where it alters my brain and my thinking, because at the end of the day, I'm powerless.
Of
I'm
course.
powerless over all of it. I need to trust and believe that my higher power has something in store. I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I'm very minimal on social media. My life consists of what's around me. That's reality for me.
Right.
Reality is not that little box on the wall that's telling me that there's a war going on and things are getting bombed and these children are dying and all this negativity. I just try and stay positive, and I try and stay where my feet are. I do what I can. These things have been going on for as long as time.
Eons,
It's been good.
eons.
It's
Yeah.
been going on for so long, and it's so easy to get caught up. We don't know the truth, so I focus on the truth. What's my truth? My truth is where I am today, the people I surround myself with, the things I allow in my life, and the things I don't allow in my life. I try and smile. I try and say good morning to people and just be a better person every day, just a little bit. If I can just work on myself and not let the outside affect me, it's all perspective. I can be miserable. I have a lot of reasons that I can say why I'm miserable, but I can't focus on those things. I need to focus on why I'm happy. And, I'm happy to be on this podcast. I'm happy that you're sitting here with me, talking to me, and hopefully someone can be listening to this and I can help them. Maybe someone can get a better understanding of their higher power by listening to me. That's really my goal here. I really want someone to listen to this and come out of it thinking about what their interpretation of a higher power is, coming from my experience.
So when they tell you that NA is a spiritual, not religious program, what does that mean to you?
You create your own. You have to look inside yourself. We're all spiritual beings. You just need to find it inside yourself. You can take that principle in so many different ways. Take the meditation, for instance. Now, when I learned meditation, I learned a certain practice of meditation. There's tons of different practices of meditation through different religions, through different spiritual vessels. This one in particular that I learned has a certain structure. When I practiced on my own, I started using that structure, but then I started altering that structure with what I felt was comfortable for me. While I'm meditating, it just happened one day where my eyes were closed. It started being like a hallucinogenic trip almost. And I kind of went with it. And I just let it take me wherever it took me. And it took me to some really cool places. And I was like, wow, I enjoyed that. I felt like I got something out of it. So I kind of created my own meditational practice using the practices that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
So I created my own higher power. I created my own spirituality.
Yeah, that sounds like transcendental
Yeah.
almost. Transcendental meditation. There's so many forms of meditation that are out there. And I find that when I talk to people about meditation, they're like, oh, it doesn't work for me. And I think what you're talking about is exactly the right thing. You have to make it work for you, make it functional for you.
See, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people don't know that it's working for them.
Mm.
So what I learned about meditation is that most people, while they're meditating, they're like, oh my God, I was thinking the whole time. I didn't even meditate. And there's a name for it. That's actually called monkey brain. Your thoughts just keep on going. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to let the thought come and go. You're supposed to let it pass and then bring yourself back to either a mantra or breathing, or in the other case, I can go back to my little, my little ass trip, whatever it is. But you have to constantly bring yourself back there, right?
Yeah.
And it's called a practice for a reason, because the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get at it. Now, when you fall into the meditative state, you're actually falling into that meditative state where you're actually getting benefits out of it for a nanosecond at a time. Now, if you know what a nanosecond is, it was like a 100,000th of a second.
1 times 10 to the negative 9.
Exactly. There you go.
real small.
Yeah. Your brain's falling into that meditative state for that short of a time. So you think, oh my God, I wasn't even meditating the whole time. I was thinking about this and I was thinking about that. When meanwhile, it doesn't take that much. Those few breaths that you took that you were meditating, those are where you're getting the benefits. There's so much work being done that you don't even know. And then when you learn about it, you don't beat yourself up as much. If people knew more about the meditation, they'd understand that and then they'd try and get better at it.
So if someone is trying meditation for the first time, what advice would you give them? If somebody wants to develop their own meditative practice or learn about meditation?
Just try it for as long as you can. When you feel like you're done, it means you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But don't give up on it. It's a practice. And just try to get a little better. If you can't do it every day, try every other day. Any chance you get to try it. If you have to start at 5 minutes, start at 5 minutes. I only do it for maybe 15 minutes, sometimes 20. I mean, there are people that can go longer times. You don't need that much. Give it some time. Like in recovery, you can't come in and be like, I got 2 weeks clean and my life still sucks. 2 weeks clean is great, but it takes a little work to get your life back together. This is something on a larger scale. Give yourself some time and try and do it on a regular basis. And then look back and be like, wow, I used to be there and now I'm here.
Just like recovery, it takes time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I certainly am glad that you're clean. Certainly am glad that you are in my life. You are a positive example for a lot of people. And I'm really grateful that you were able to get on the podcast and to be able to share your story. And thank you for inspiring this last series of episodes. This is, how we're closing the podcast.
Absolutely. It's huge. And you know what? The 11th step, a better understanding through prayer meditation, it's just not looked at enough in depth with bridging the two. A lot of people talk about the prayer when it comes to higher power, but they don't talk about the meditation part, and then they don't talk about the bridge between the two. And if you can connect them, because they're both in there, read the 11th step. It's bigger than it's talked about. And I've always felt it needed to be talked about more in depth. It's so much deeper than God, and God is so much bigger than anything you can possibly fathom. And it's your interpretation of it, but you just have to know it's huge. And it's everything when it comes to recovery.
This is the second time this week someone has invited me to read the 11th step. I've heard other people talk about how transformative it is. And every time I go back to the basic text and read after having experience in recovery, I certainly get more out of it. So I hope that anyone that's listening to this will also have that same experience of maybe I should take a second look at this. Maybe I can develop.
Remember, it's an evolution, man. Like it grows with you. Like as you grow, everything else grows too. Your higher power and your understanding of it is going to grow. Reading that 11th step today and doing some work and reading it again, it's going to change.
Exactly. Well, thank you again. Thank you for being on, and thank you for sharing your recovery with us, and thank you for all the service that you do.
And thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I love you.
I love you too, bro. The Voices of Recovery podcast is an independent production of the Works of Wisdom. We welcome your questions and donations via PayPal at voicesofrecoverypod@gmail.com. This podcast is an independent production and is not affiliated with, associated with, authorized by, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Narcotics Anonymous or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. While NA literature may be read during episodes for the purpose of supporting recovery, such use does not constitute an official endorsement or representation by Narcotics Anonymous. In accordance with NA tradition, the NA name is not to be used to endorse or be affiliated with any outside enterprise, and no such endorsement or affiliation is implied. Music is by Sage. Thanks for listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast.